Greetings, everyone. Welcome to this unplanned episode of the Andres Segovia Show. Tucker Carlson is out at Fox. Well, when this news broke, the first thing I thought of was that he was fired. Let me read to you the press release from Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson parting ways. Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. We thank him for his service to the network as a host and prior to that as a contributor. Mr. Carlson's last program was Friday, April 21st. Fox News Tonight will air live at 8 p.m. Eastern, starting this evening as an interim show helmed by rotating Fox News personalities until a new host is named. This leads all to believe that he was summarily fired. And I have to believe it has to do a lot with that Dominion lawsuit where Fox News settled for like $770 million, whatever it was, to Dominion. And I'm assuming part of that was like, you got to get rid of Tucker. This comes on the heels of AOC over the weekend talking about how Tucker Carlson should be fired by Fox News. And lo and behold, it happened. So there's an update to this story, because at first there was just the breaking news that he was fired and it was taking the world by storm, the entertainment world by storm. So then we have this more of an update from the Daily Wire. Even Brian Stelter knows how bad this is. Tucker Carlson is out at Fox News, effective immediately. This is an earth-shattering, shaking moment in cable news. But then he added something here. It's like the biggest tell in Fox press release about Tucker Carlson's exit is that he is not getting a final show. No chance to say goodbye on his own terms or point people to his next home. Fox says Carlson's last program was Friday, April 21st. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I knew. That like something is up here. Dan Bongino last week, and now this. Hold on, something here though. Where do I see it? There's something else here. There was something about his staff. His staff didn't get the message. A source told the Daily Wire Carlson's staff was blindsided by the news and only learned late Monday morning when members received an email from the primetime star. Man, that's crazy. But yeah, he was fired, and my Twitter feed was exploding with all this news. Update, LA Times reports Tucker pushed out by Rupert Murdoch himself over AF's January 6th, reporting this from Revolver News, because of course it was. Remember when the January 6th tapes that he dropped only dropped one show, then we didn't hear about it after that? Because the higher-ups yanked his chains to not let him. Holy smokes, man. We knew they wanted to censor him, and look, some people are talking about, will he end up with Daily Wire or the Blaze TV? I'll be honest with you. I don't think any of them could technically afford him. But all I got to say is the dude can do whatever he wants. He's started his own network, his own show. He's gonna get something. The question is, how quickly will he get it? And all this is just reeks of something very familiar. And I think it's here in my timeline somewhere. Just got to find it. James O'Keefe posted something, and if who's this? Seth Dillon. Congratulations on running the funniest site on the internet, Tucker Carlson. But where is? Come on, it was on my feed here. I mean, it's been a while, so it's probably buried now among so many things. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. also had a heartfelt post pointing out why Tucker was forced out, but the one from James O'Keefe was July 2020, pointing out that you see people going along with this, like, just going along with whatever the higher ups are telling you to do, or just towing the line so they can keep their jobs and stuff like that. And he says, I'm not mad at people, I'm just sad. How could you go along with with this is not true, but you're saying it anyway? That was Tucker, April 2023. And there it was with James O'Keefe, someone that was also a victim of being forced out of his own company, in this case, Project Veritas. So he went to go start OMG, O'Keefe Media Group. So Tucker will land on his feet. But still, it's crazy that this is Fox News. Just rest in peace. The Fox News stock is dropping after losing Tucker. I heard the valuation had dropped like millions of dollars. So we'll see where it ultimately ends up. The bell hasn't rung yet as of this recording. But yeah, That's interesting, and it's along the lines of a riff, a firing, a separation, a parting of ways. That I'm gonna weigh in on this as quickly as I can. It has everything to do with the Dave Landau, Steven Crowder riff. Look, without getting into so much other history here, because there's a lot of history. If you haven't seen the Michael Malice podcast by now, and you're a fan of either or both, Steven Crowder or Dave Landau, then that's an accurate meme. Where is it? Tucker Carlson and Fox News. Yeah, but in this case, he was forced out, so that the meme doesn't really apply. The whole thing about the bombshells that were dropped by Dave Landau on that now infamous Michael Malice interview that dropped the same day that Dave Landau and Quarter Black Garrett announced that their show A New Normal is coming to the Blaze. So that's interesting. Some people are calling it controlled opposition, a psyop to divide people. That Dave was always under contract with the Blaze, and now he's just taking pot shots to eliminate the Mug Club announcements, because it just so happens that Thursday was technically the last free episode of Mug Club for Rumble YouTube, because the Friday show was exclusively on Mug Club, despite the fact that you could watch it without being a paying subscriber. If everybody said it was just sus, that Dave's a backstabber and this and that, look, I don't want to take any sides on all this, but I also feel that I bring a unique perspective to all this, because I'm both a business operator, I'm also a business owner, I'm also an independent contractor, and I'm a content creator. So I covered entertainment news before a lot independently when I did the Critter Corner. So I do get the intricacies of what happens behind the scenes, and I saw this coming very early on, like within the first week of Dave being a permanent fixture on Third Chair. I thought it was an excellent addition to it. Brought a different perspective, because he wasn't just a yes man, and he also wasn't a conservative like the other guys there. And it helped to bring that other perspective. But one of the things in this, like Steven hasn't liked a post until he started posting again today, but he hasn't liked a post on his Twitter since April 21st. Dave, on the other hand, has been liking a ton of things, including those that are just taking shots at Steven Crowder. But there was a meme that he liked, and I think this probably be why there was a lot of a riff. Huh? What happened? Did it just? I clicked on it. What happened? The meme was like, "I'm funnier than you. Change my mind." That was by Clown Pilled News. So yeah, I'm funnier than you, change my mind, and they put a cardboard, I think a cutout of Dave Landau's face on it, and he liked it. So there's a lot here in which they felt that Steven felt he was being upstaged by his Third Chair sidekick, if you will, whatever. I think what we have here is someone that was so used to being his own boss, having to quite literally be an employee for Louder Crowder Studios, owned and run by Steven Crowder until recently. Now Gerald is the CEO, but that was it. That mindset it's tough. And I've seen it. I've felt it as well whenever I had to deal with some individuals that offered me something. I'm like, yeah, I'll stay where I am. I may be getting paid less, but at least I get to own myself. So there's some things that were said on the podcast. It's Dave's side of the story. I want to hear Steven's side of the story. I didn't hear him address it on today's episode, which conveniently was titled Congresswoman AOC Calls for Tucker Carlson to be Fired. And it is somehow all connected. But there's a lot of people that do feel that Steven Crowder is a hypocrite, because this with Dave was a rift that was transpiring before the Daily Wire incident. And what I mean by that, I mean all the way back since I think the term sheet was first sent to Steven back in October, and this riff with Dave goes back into maybe late spring, early summer 2022. I don't know if his contract was officially terminated or if it was just lapsed where it expired with Landau Crowder. But the point is that there wasn't anything renewed, especially if the new contract, as Dave says, he showed some receipts on the Michael Malice thing, that it was crap to be owned like that. So that was the case, including a special that never aired, which I always found interesting that it never aired. But I did read between the lines. I have seen Dave address it. He said there were some technical issues for why they couldn't do or they couldn't release the special, which is why he ended up releasing a Prison 10, which was at a smaller comedy club versus the big audience that he had. Was it the Majestic Theater? I forget, one of those. But here's a perspective I will share, because there were some things that Dave was saying that I'm like, that's as someone that has been watching since the Not Gay Jared days and been a Mud Clubber since 2020. Look, for a lot of you new folks that are new to Landau with Crowder, especially in the past year, you would think that Dave Landau was a fixture here. He wasn't. No, he wasn't. Landau with Crowder was a thing. Just some people that have been watching the longest have felt that there was a more positive shift in the show, that was more watchable with Dave there. I felt he brought more comedy to it. And look, I'm not going to, no kidding, Dave is funnier than Steven. That's not an exaggeration, although some people on the Steven camp that are loyal will say that that's not true, that Dave isn't funny. I appreciate all forms of humor except vulgar humor. It's Matt McClary, who I did hear live during a set where Grant Cotter was the opener for Dave in Pasadena, March 2023. He's more raunchy and definitely more vulgar. Whereas Dave was, he considers himself dark, yes, but he also includes vulgarity as well, if not so much with his words as so much with his miming. Because there was some stuff he was miming, like, well, yeah, that's not something that will fly, and you won't be able to do that on the Landau Ricardo show. Anyway, and more on that in a bit. The point is that that Dave is a comedian that has been practicing comedian, and Steven was basically breaking off the rust to try to get back into the swing of things. So I prefer Steven. He does what he does and stay on his lane and do what he does great. But if it's an ego trip or whatever, it's most likely most people agree that it is. I don't want to take any sides on any of this, especially since I'm privy to some information that most of you probably aren't. So here's what I'll share with you as you could say as an exclusive. I thought long and hard about opening up about this, but I guess I'll say it. I knew that Dave was not coming back to Landau with Crowder. I knew that he needed to go his own separate ways. He was not a fit in the mold, especially as a guy that liked being told what to do after doing his own thing. And a lot of the stuff that should be true that Dave was mentioning on the podcast would make someone that prefers to control himself very insulting, and in a way would just force anybody out. But that wasn't just it. Dave wasn't someone that I saw permanently sitting on a chair. His lifestyle was being out there with the people and making them laugh. He was trying to do what he does best. And I believe he should stick with that, and more power to him. And a sketch comedy thing with Cora Black Hair is pretty awesome. I'm going to be tuning into Normal World. I'm looking forward to that. But some people are trying to say, look at the high turnover rate with Dave Landau leaving, and not too long before that, Cora Black Garrett. They're trying to make it seem like Cora Black Garrett was a Not Gay Jared. Look, so long as there's an NDA, there will always be speculation about the Not Gay Jared thing. When I think about the Not Gay Jared thing, and whatever that Owen Benjamin keeps highlighting that he cannot talk about because of an NDA, and Sven's computer thing, and like whatever. That's, some people feel insulted by that, so be it. But with Not Gay Jared, I do believe he was a pillar for the show, because he was that actively involved behind the scenes. And I think that the fallout might have been something akin to that scene from The Social Network where Eduardo Savern gets jumped by what he believed with his own attorneys, to like he's part of Facebook or whatever, and then he goes off on Mark Zuckerberg, his character in the movie, The Social Network. That's what I think happened between Not Gay Jared and Steven Crowder. But Quarterback Garrett left on his own, and he announced it early on because he wanted to work with Gary Beekler over at Nerdrotic, and they've been doing things together. And Quarter Black has been rotating on third chair. Just go look back at the last episodes leading up to the break. There he was there, and he's supposedly actively participating and helping with the skits and all that. So he's been still an active supporter and contributor to a lot of Crowder. But his bread and butter was in the whole geek side of things, and that's what he really loved in doing, and it's his own thing. And now he's doing the new normal with Dave, which is pretty awesome. So to make it seem like, oh, he was a turnover because he left disgruntled. No, why were you going to push buttons your whole life when you have talents and passions that you wanted to pursue? The same thing happened with Smooth Manny. It's something in the tech world, and hopefully he'll come back. Audio Wade, he left to who knows where, but people, you do look for greener pastures and pursuing your passions when the time comes. Anyway, in the case of Dave, he said a few things at the Ice House in Pasadena, March 2023, that fly in the face of what he was saying on the podcast, which I found jarring. So this is exclusive. This is for all of you, and anybody that was there can back me up. I wasn't the only one that heard this. For any stand-up, I'm sure a comedian always expects a heckler. And at this comedy club, I expected a heckler, but this was it was just too much. The heckler was actually an overbearing fan of Dave's, but kept interrupting that it threw Dave off rhythm. And eventually he just started engaging with a supposed heckler until the heckler finally said, I just love you so much. And I think she wanted to run up there and give him a hug or whatever. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But Dave was like, well, that helps my self-esteem. It'll keep the gun out of my mouth tonight. I just thought that was a hilarious comment. But she was escorted off out of the comedy club because just being very disruptive, but it threw Dave off so much that he was trying to get his bearings for like the next 30 seconds to a minute. He's like, where was I? He was looking at his watch because 9:30 someone else was up. And he had just gone up after Matt Clary and then Grant Cotter doing the opener and the emceeing. So someone in the back, and this is the most random thing because it had nothing to do with anything he was saying. A lot of the stand-up was I would say, about 40% or 50% of the jokes are from a Prison 10, which are more hilarious when you hear them in person. Someone in the back shouted, Ben Shapiro. Like, Ben Shapiro? What the hell's that got to do with anything? So when this guy shouted that out, even Dave was like, what the hell? What's that guy do anything with that? So then he kind of went with it and said he's got nothing bad to say about Ben Shapiro. I was like, what's there to say? And then he added this. This is a direct quote, but I'm going to censor myself because I don't use those kind of words. He said, you know where I was when the whole Daily Wire Steven Crowder thing went down? At home, not giving an F. And we all applauded. It was the second loudest applause, only to the standing ovation he got at the end. I thought that was awesome. He was ahead of it. That doesn't sound like what he was saying on the Michael Malice podcast, was it? And he added this. There's also a quote. He took shots at Steven. He said, you criticize big tech, and you literally just signed a contract with them. Just saying. When I heard that, I'm like, oh, yeah, I knew you weren't coming back, but is it like that? And sure enough, not even a month later, we're proven that I was right. Because I didn't post it publicly, but I was sharing that Dave's not coming back. The next day in the afternoon, Dave puts on his Instagram that he has jury duty in Michigan, so he's not going to be there for the Monday show. And eventually he's like, he's not coming back. I knew it, and I said that. I got to meet Dave that night. I got to talk to him and exchange things. I even told him that night. I said, look, I know you got to move on to your own things. You're great on Lotto Ricardo, but I know you got to do your own thing. And I'm sure he appreciated that. And I did say that I was interested in taking up Steven on his offer to be a part of Muck Club with my show. And he said, yeah, go ahead, man. Do it. And I told him, yeah, he haven't responded. He's like, well, try again. Someone will look at it, whether it was I forget if it was Brodigan or whoever looks at those things. So yeah, and I will, and I did send again. So I didn't hear back, and that's fine. And that was that. That was that night, and I absolutely love seeing him in person. So personable, making time for the fans, and I saw him in his element that wasn't inside, locked in the studio, being told what to do as an employee, where he couldn't really be himself. So he needed to break out because he did his own thing. He's been doing stand up for what, 20 years? I don't know. So that's not a surprise. How it all went about is the part that's disappointing, because we don't want these two rebels with a cause to be at each other's throats. And there's some things that were said on that podcast that I had to take with a grain of salt. I'm like, I don't know about that, Dave, but until we hear Steven's side, which I don't think we'll ever fully hear, or if at all, it's going to hang in the air. And I think it's owed to the fans of both of them to address this. And I would not want to see Dave on Steven's show to address this, especially when he could be ambushed. I'd rather a neutral place. So someone, and I'm not a Michael Malice at all. Honestly, I can't stand the guy. So that's the only time I ever tuned into him. I tried watching him on Joe Rogan's podcast and like, what's his appeal? Like I couldn't stand it, so I just tuned up. I tried. That was back when Michael Malice tuned in, was a guest. But I did tune into to the entirety of the podcast with Dave, because Dave. And one of the funniest and best interviews I heard was Dave and Glenn Beck. And if you hear it there, you can hear it. You can hear that Dave was going his own separate ways from Steven. So while Quarter Black Garrett was an active contributor, and he absolutely loves the LWC crew, he himself has been taking shots at Steven off the cuff, by even us recently on Friday, saying that he didn't record the conversation. I'm like, well, we're still making a joke about that. Yeah, he still jokes about that. So I feel that's not so veiled of a shot against Steven, but yeah, there's a big riff. I don't like it, and this whole thing, just seeing it from Dave's perspective, makes Steven look like a hypocrite. But at the same time, you also see Steven being proven right by Matt Walsh being demonetized and almost deplatformed on YouTube. Brett Cooper was demonetized, or she was banned from TikTok. And like, yeah, you make your bet with big tech, you're gonna lose it. So anyway, anyone else wants to hear my take on the whole Daily Wire Steven Crowder thing? I made videos about that, and even my Instagram live at the time that Steven made the first announcement before Daily Wire outed themselves. But this one stings because. Like I said, the new normal and the Blaze TV deal is announced the same day that the podcast with Michael Malice is posted. Also, the same day that was the last day to sign up for Mug Club, and it affected the Mug Club subscriptions, because you cannot go to the Mug Club community. And I'm going to refresh here because this is Mug Club, without seeing, like, at least on average, once an hour there will be a post about the Michael Malice interview. Let's see. These are the most recent posts. See, there it is. Oh no, that's not it. All these thumbnails look alike. But there'll always be a post. It was insufferable to be there over the weekend, like over and over, for the post to be up, like, oh, the Michael Malice interview. When are you going to address it, and this and that. And on today's show, I didn't hear it. So maybe like, where is Dave, and people like that. Let's see. Someone else posted that was 3 hours ago. Someone posted this, the Michael Malice interview, and it was just you couldn't engage here, and that's why I'm like, why aren't you addressing this? You kind of have to. It's the elephant in the room. But anyway, I went longer than I thought I was. Tucker Carlson is out at Fox News. Dave Landau and Steven Crowder are rift. And there's, well, we'll see what turns about. We'll see how it affects the Mug Club subscriptions, because a lot of people, including Twitter, they're going at it. So it's unfortunate. They just keep dividing, and they forget that there is such thing as behind the scenes drama. There's always politics involved in some way or another. If there's one main takeaway from all this, yes, I imagine that Steven is hard to work with. But did he become the bully? I thought that Crowder bit was very ill timed to post about how to address bullies, and like yeah, some people are probably telling you to just look at the mirror. It's like, to the grown men arguing Crowder versus Dave, you sound like teenage girls arguing Team Edward versus Team Jacob. Stop embarrassing yourselves. You don't have to pick side. This isn't effing Twilight. A creative guy didn't work well under another creative guy. It's not rare and it's not interesting. Just be happy Dave and Quarter Black are coming out with more content and STFU. I'll give that one a like. I thought that was good. And I'll leave it at that. Thanks very much. Check out my stuff at www.theoscopa.com. My interview with Boone, one of the heroes from Benghazi, joins me later today on an interview discussing gun safety and training and what's happening to our Second Amendment in this country. So tune into that. I appreciate you all. Whether you like this or not, the fact that you watched this long means a lot to me. And if you did like it, make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe so you don't miss any of my future posts. And not everything is like streamed or restreamed, so you might occasionally see a video post in the channel. Scroll down, you'll find them, or else you're going to miss them with respects to other videos that I do, like about an average 3 minutes to 5 minutes a piece. Anyway, that's it. That's where I'll leave it. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one.